Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the April 30th, 2025 Pittsburgh Board of Public Education and Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit Legislative Meeting. Would everyone please rise so we can salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now turn the meeting over to Ms. Ebony Pugh for a special presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Legislative Board meeting. Tonight's Legislative Board meeting begins with a celebration of artistic excellence within Pittsburgh Public Schools. Before we begin, we kindly ask that you hold your applause until all honorees have been recognized. This evening, we are proud to honor students who have earned regional recognition in the 2024 Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, specifically in the category of visual arts. As one of the nation's most prestigious youth recognition programs, the Scholastic Awards honor creative teens who demonstrate outstanding artistic vision, originality, and technical skills. Each submission is evaluated through a blind adjudication process. Jurors do not have access to the students' names, school, or demographic information. Instead, works are assessed solely on three core criteria: originality, technical skill, and the emergence of a personal voice or vision. What makes this program especially meaningful is not only the recognition, but the opportunity it provides. Students who receive national medals are eligible for scholarships of up to $12,500, and their work may be displayed in national exhibitions. All Gold Key recipients are automatically considered for national level awards, including gold and silver medals and scholarship honors. This year, 3 Pittsburgh Kappa students were awarded both Gold Keys and National Gold Medals by the Alliance of Young Artists and Writers, the nonprofit that presents the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. Out of nearly 110,000 teens who submitted more than 310,000 original works of art and writing to the 2024 competition, their work stood out for the excellence in originality, skill, and vision. Their artwork is currently featured in the national online galleries and will be listed in Yearbook 2025, an annual anthology that celebrates national medalists. Please join me in recognizing Emerson Botts, gold medalist for 13 years. Abigail Smith, gold medalist for Terms and Conditions. Abigail Smith. And Marcus Quigley, gold medalist for Eve and Adam. Let's give them a round of applause. Did Abigail come through? Okay. In addition to these national honorees, 26 more PPS students received recognition at the regional level. In total, 17 Gold Keys were awarded to Pittsburgh Public School students this year. We are proud to share their achievements with you tonight. From Pittsburgh Kappa, we have Hayel Anavatin, 8 Gold Keys, 6 Silver Keys, and 3 honorable mentions. Yeah. We also have Ellie Choi. Ellie received 4 Silver Keys and 1 honorable mention. Matteo D'Annunzio, 1 Silver Key. Alyssa Mag, honorable mention. And Juliet Volts, 2 honorable mentions. Charles McHenry Gold Key, 2 honorable mentions. And Christina Shipio Gold Key, Silver Key. Let's give them a round of applause. We congratulate all of these students for their creativity, discipline, and growth as artists. To view their portfolios, along with work from students from across the nation, please visit artandwriting.org/awards/recognition. Oh, and Julia Germany, I'm sorry, Julia, her name was circled. Julia Germany also is here today. 1 silver key and 2 honorable mentions. Okay. So got kids coming? Hello, are we moving, guys? Is that it for that group? Okay, okay. The next group is, we now recognize an outstanding educator, Mrs. Cherie Sharmella Andrews. Who? I think so, that's what We now recognize an outstanding educator, Mrs. Cherie Sharmella Andrews, who has been awarded a Fulbright Teacher Exchange Scholarship for the 2024-25 academic year. A dedicated educator at the Pittsburgh Gifted Center, Mrs. Andrews is one of just 81 teachers selected from 33 states to participate in the Fulbright Teacher for Global Classrooms program, an initiative that supports globally focused curriculum and international education experiences. With 21 years of experience in Pittsburgh Public Schools, Mrs. Andrews is using this opportunity to integrate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into a unique video game design project, empowering students to think globally while taking local action. As part of her Fulbright experience, she will travel this summer to either sub-Saharan Africa or South America to complete her research and exchange. Please join us in congratulating Mrs. Andrews on this tremendous accomplishment and her continued commitment to educational excellence. We close our Distinguished Achievement Awards segment by celebrating 2 students for their achievements in theater and performance. First, we recognize Kenaya Woods, a sophomore musical theater major at Pittsburgh Kappa, for winning first place in this year's August Wilson New Voices competition. Kenira delivered a powerful portrayal of Rena from Jitney, captivating the judges during the final competition held on March 31st at the Manchester's Craftsmen's Guild. Her performance honored the legacy of August Wilson and demonstrated extraordinary strengths, presence, and talent. Let's give her a round of applause. Next, we celebrate Layla Sewell Wilson, also a sophomore at Pittsburgh Kappa, who earned 3rd place in the Next Narrative Monologue competition presented by True Colors Theater Company. This national competition uplifts Black voices and celebrates bold storytelling through the arts. Layla's performance stood out among peers nationwide and exemplifies the power of expression and the importance of youth-centered narratives in theater. Let's give her a round of applause. So this concludes tonight's Distinguished Achievement Awards. Thank you for joining us as we recognize these exceptional students and staff members.
Okay. I guess we'll get going. Thank you, Ms. Pugh, and congratulations again to all of our distinguished award winners today for your hard work to excellence. So, let's see. We will begin today with the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit. Mr. Weiss, can you please call the roll?
Thank you.
Okay.
This is Mr. Barker.
Present.
Trotsky is not present. New mom, congratulations. Dr. Reed. Reed is absent. Ms. Silk.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Mr. Dean. Ms. York.
Mr. Dean, can you hear us?
Yes. There are 7 members present, Mr. Walker.
Okay, try that again, please. Sorry.
There are 7 members present. Can you hear me, Mr. Walker?
Yes. I think he said there are 7 members present, so we will
Yes.
continue.
Correct.
As long as Mr. Weiss has the roll, we're in good shape. Will board members please turn to the minutes from March 26, 2025? Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the March 26, 2025 legislative meeting?
Motion. Oh, yeah, Mount Oliver Intermediate, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are the minutes for the March 26, 2025 legislative meeting for the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson and Mr. Barker. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes stand approved. The committee report on business and finance is before you and includes agenda items 24.01 through 26.06. Mr. Jones, or Joseph?
Item 26.04 is being pulled. Item 26.04 is being pulled.
So the report on business and finance, items 24.01 through 26.06, with the removal of 26.04. Are there any questions or comments on this report? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve for a roll call?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson and Ms. Talaferro. Mr. Weiss, can you please call the vote?
Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Silk.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Dean.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. York. Yes. Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Report's approved.
Thank you. Item 17.01 is the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit Personnel Report for April 30th, 2025. Are there any questions or comments on this report? Hearing none, can I have a motion and a second for a roll call vote?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Ms. Talaferro and Ms. Silk. Mr. Weiss, can you please call the vote?
Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Silk.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Dean.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. York,
Yeah.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Report's approved.
Thank you. Item 28.01 is the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit Financial and Travel Reports for March 2025. Are there any questions or comments on this report? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Talaferro and Mr. Barker. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? This meeting stands adjourned. I would now like to call the April 30th, 2025 meeting of the Pittsburgh Public Schools to order. Mr. Rice, can you please call the roll?
Barker,
Present.
Ms. Petrowski is absent. Dr. Reed, absent. Ms. Silk,
Here.
Talaferro,
Here.
Dean. Here. Ms. Wilson,
Here.
Ms. York.
Here.
Mr. Walker,
Here.
7 members present.
Thank you. All right, will the board members please turn to the minutes? Today we'll be approving the minutes for the March 26, 2025 legislative session. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Ms. Silk and Ms. Talaferro. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The minutes stand approved. At this time, I'd like to read the executive session statement. In addition to the executive sessions announced at the legislative meeting on March 26, 2025, the board met in executive session on April 8th, April 23rd, and immediately prior to this legislative meeting to discuss various personnel matters that may include but are not limited to administrative vacancies and positions opened and closed. The board does not vote at executive session. The committee report on education is before you, submitted by Dr. Tracy Reed, chairperson, and the committee. The report includes agenda items 5.01 through 8.09. Is this another one, Mr. Joseph? Yes.
Item 6.01 is being pulled. Item 6.01 is being pulled.
6.01. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Item 6.01 will be removed from the agenda. If you would please turn to item 8.09, I'd like to give you the student expulsion numbers for the month. 8 students were expelled out of school for 11 or more days. Under the education section, there were no items noted for further discussion at agenda review. Are there any remaining questions or concerns at this time? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second for a roll call vote on the committee report on education?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Ms. Talaferro and Ms. Silk. Mr. Weiss, can you please call the vote on the committee report on education?
Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Silk,
Yes.
Ms. Talaferro,
Yes.
Mr. Dean. Yes. Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. York,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Report's approved, 7 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The committee report on business and finances before you today, submitted by Ms. Emma Yord, chairperson in the committee. The report includes agenda items 10.01 through 12.04. There were no items noted for further discussion under the business section at agenda review. Are there any additional questions or comments at this time from board members?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
I would like to make a motion to table 12.02.
It requires a second, Mr. Walker.
So we have a motion on the table to table item 12.02. Do I have a second?
I second the motion for purposes of discussion.
We have a second from Mr. Udine. I will open it up for discussion. Would you like to lead the way, Mr. Barker?
Yes. So one of the main reasons why I said that we should table it is because we received over 300 signatures from the Manchester neighbors canvassing down in their neighborhood. And it's clear to me that you have more community members within that neighborhood that voices aren't being heard, and that I feel like they haven't been included in on the discussions that have been taking place whenever it comes to all parties involved.
Ms. Talaferro.
Thank you, Director Walker. Director Barker, outside of the petitions that we received, what would be the outcome or value or purpose to table this vote tonight?
Other than the fact that they've been showing up to our actual hearings, and they're only asking for simple things as, first of all, being heard as an actual CDC within the actual neighborhood, or RCO. And one of the things that they want to do is meet with the developer, and it hasn't happened at one of our actual meetings. The developer did indicate that they would meet with these concerned citizens from down Manchester, and that had never happened. And I feel like, what we're doing is we're just pushing along their voices. They are a part of how we actually got into our seats. They are residents within the neighborhood, and at the end of the day, we should be taking all voices serious because that's just the right thing to do.
Thank you for that explanation. I think I would agree. First of all, we are representatives of community. We don't sit here at this table without the support of the community. We act as their voice. So I definitely understand that. I've done my due diligence since this item has been on our agenda for the past 2 months now, and I know that this isn't the first that these conversations have happened around this TRID. I'm always going to be supportive of community voice, and I never want community to feel that they are left out of the conversation. But just in doing my due diligence and having several conversations with both representatives from the development company as well as the elected officials who have been a part of this process and represent that part of the city, that there have been several meetings that have community meetings that have happened that many of the members from that particular organization or group have been in attendance of. And I'm trying to understand if they're asking for a meeting solely for their organization or group, or if they just haven't had any community meetings at all about this, because that doesn't seem to be the case from what I hear. And then I also know that there is a community meeting scheduled for May 12th for the very purpose of making sure that community voice is heard and represented as we move forward into this. So I understand why there might be pause, but I don't understand what giving 30 additional days would do to help the circumstance, if not for just pausing to pause. So that's my only concern in the ask. I obviously wasn't aware of your ask before this moment, so I'm just basing the knowledge that I have off of what I've heard. So with that, I'll end my comments. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. So yeah, that's good to know that you spoke to, some of your friends and they've informed you of what's been going on. And ultimately, at the end of the day, their voices matter as well. But it still doesn't put in perspective that all of these people that signed this petition's voices matter as well. So just because you are elected doesn't mean that you have power of attorney over folk that are actually the ones that got you elected. Our job as elected officials is to listen to all voices. And if they feel like their voices haven't been heard and they're asking something as simple as meeting with the developer, I don't understand why we can't table in order for that to happen. Because once it happens, I truly believe that the ask that they're putting out there, in my opinion, that is not a big ask, will be fulfilled.
Mr. Udine.
Thank you. I support the tabling of this motion, and I encourage the representative on the school board from that district to continue to hold the developers accountable. In many urban communities across the country, there have been the total disruption of urban communities for the sake of development with very little benefit going to the communities who get displaced by these development projects. I would hope that the community would hold out for a community benefits agreement. It cannot just be verbal commitments made in meetings. There has to be a written list of commitments that the developers can be held accountable to, and that is a legal document that binds the developers to implement those community commitments. And what I'm concerned about this project in particular, because based upon what I've been hearing from the residents and in public hearings, there seems to be no residential accommodations within the district. That's going to be completely commercial, and the developers are telling the community, we will set aside affordable housing as long as it's outside the district. And I'm not sure that really accommodates the needs of the community for additional affordable development. So I intend to follow the lead of Mr. Barker, but I also intend to follow the lead of the people who signed that petition. And I hope that the community will not move forward until there is a legal document, a community benefits agreement that the developers are held to, and they are not allowed to get away with verbal handshakes. There's too much at stake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Udine.
Can I just?
Yes, please, and then we'll go to Ms. York.
Sorry, Director York. We, as the board for PPS, strive for excellence. we want to make sure that our students are getting the highest level of education. And a lot of times, when you have these high expectations on these students, we neglect to have a high expectation on adults as well. If this group asked for some things and they never received them, my question is, have we received them? Have we asked for them? We didn't. But if we were to ask for them, will we receive them? This is another reason why I want to table this, because if we're sending kids home with homework and we're expecting them to return with that homework, as adults, we should be practicing the same thing. We shouldn't be speaking about our expectations of kids, and then when it comes time for us to do our homework and our due diligence, all we're doing is waiting for an opportunity to vote on things that we don't have all the information for.
Thank you, Mr. Barker. Director Yord?
Yeah, thank you, Director Walker. Director Barker, I'm so glad that you brought up doing our homework and our due diligence, because this item has been presented to the board no less than twice in the last 4 months. And there have been multiple opportunities for the board, if we so wished to make these requests of the developer, to have done that. This is now the second time that this has been on the agenda for the board. And we did pull it from the agenda last month to allow for a third presentation by the developers and to bring the developers to the board to ask questions of the developers. And that was our opportunity. So I hope that the board has done all of its due diligence in its homework, because this has been on our table since January, I believe, was the first time that this was presented to the board. So I appreciate that you raised doing our homework, because it's definitely important. And I hope that all of the board members have done that and reviewed all of the materials that have been provided to us by both the community and the developers since January. That being said, so I reviewed the petition sent by the community members, and it seems that the ask that they are making is to have a meeting with the developers. Is that correct, Director Barker?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not correct. What is the ask that the community members are making?
Can you repeat that?
I reviewed the petition that the community members sent, and my understanding is that their ask is that they want to meet with the developers. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, why would tabling this, or why would passing this or voting on it tonight, rather than tabling it, prevent a community meeting from happening in the next 30 days?
Because we can hold them accountable. We can say, this is what our expectations are now. And you got 30 days to comply. Now, my thing is this. This is what I truly believe. I truly believe that they never had an intent on meeting with them. Okay. So Director Talaferro is telling me I shouldn't make the assumption that that wasn't their intent. When I met with them, they told me that they wasn't going to. So let me rephrase it. When I met with them, they said that they didn't want to meet with this group. They're already having a conversation with the CDC, and that they don't have to do anything with them. Now, I'm trying to stay politically correct. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. But since you made the statement, let me recant what I first said originally and put the truth out there. I didn't want to name names. I didn't want to say anybody was doing this, that, and the third. But honestly, this is what has already happened. So with that being said, I, in my heart of hearts, do not believe that if we pass it, that they're going to give this group the time of day.
So I think, can I step in? You okay? Okay. I think the challenge that I have, so first, like a TRID is much different than a LRTA, right? LRTAs are shorter term. I mean, 10 years is still a long time. But we're talking 30, 40 years, right? So the decisions that we're making today are going to impact, you know, a generation, maybe two. And so I don't take that lightly, that is what we're being asked to do. But I also think it's important that we kind of get the right stuff out there, right? So we know, Mr. Udine had mentioned that there's no housing. I mean, there's 300 units of housing with 20% of them being affordable. So we know that that is part of the development itself. And we also know that the TRID is the written agreement. And so if folks are asking for a different written agreement other than what the law is asking us for, then I think that might be a bit unreasonable. Because to even apply for this thing, you have to go through just rigorous underwriting and process since, I think, 2017, 2018. So we're not talking about a conversation that's just happened over the last 6 months. We're talking about a conversation that's been going on for 7, 8 years. And so my question then is if this group is not being heard, are they not being heard because they are looking for special treatment? Are they just not showing up to the meetings that are there? Or are they showing up to the meetings and not hearing what they want to hear, so they're going to react differently? I find it hard to believe that no one from this group has been to a single meeting. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just think it's hard to imagine over the last 7 years that no one from this group has been heard. And it's possible that these 300 or so folks won't be swayed regardless of the meeting. And so we have to make the decision, like, if it's a project that we think has merit and should move forward, then I think we should do that. If we don't think it has merit and shouldn't move forward, then it doesn't matter what the developer does or doesn't do. If it's not the right thing to do, it's not the right thing to do. And so, not that I want to discount folks being heard, because that is a challenge that we face as a school district all the time. But it is an impossible feat to figure out how to hear from absolutely everybody that wants to be heard, as hard as we try. And if we do try to do that, then we should just wrap up what we're doing, because we will never do anything. We will never get anything done. And so, I mean, that's my stance, and I'm gonna stop there. But I wanted to make sure that folks know, like, there is affordable housing. There is a written agreement, which is the legal binding TRID, that requires a certain amount of the tax savings through the abatement to go into restoring and repairing and fixing up the neighborhood. We know that there is a freeze on property taxes for longstanding residents so that they aren't priced out of their houses over the next, decade or more. So we know there are protections and there are investments that are going to go into the community. And I would question why we fight that kind of progress and investment in our communities just because we think that it's going to be a little less black 10 years from now than it is today. Maybe a lot less black, I don't know. And so maybe that's it. But I know that Pittsburgh needs development if we expect or want to grow our city. And if we keep turning down development that can bring hundreds of millions of dollars of investment and thousands of jobs and hopefully thousands of residents to our community, then we should just give up. I mean, I think that's the point. East Liberty is not what it used to be, but I don't know if that's a bad thing necessarily. And it's a different circumstance in the East End than what we're dealing with here. But if you look at the cities that are growing, they're growing because they're developing, they're creating opportunities for people to come here, to work here, to raise their families here. I think there's a benefit to our educational system through these investments, especially for our North Side and Manchester neighborhoods in the future. And I just don't know if waiting makes a ton of sense. But I think, we're in this space to be able to kind of talk it out. And so those are my thoughts, and I will pass it on to, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Wilson and then Mr. Udine, and then come back to you, Ms. Talaferro, and then we'll finish with you, Mr. Barker, to have the last word, if that's okay.
A lot of things that I had on my mind you did bring up. I think a meeting if this is voted on tonight, it doesn't preclude from having a meeting with the community. Some of the points that were made by some of the individuals, they didn't understand how the job situation impacted and worked with Manchester. They thought it just would be people coming from outside to come in. It was very clear that they were talking about taking Manchester residents and training them through the Partner for Work and some of the other job training programs that exist right now. So they were actually talking about putting people to work from Manchester. And as you mentioned, the benefits to their homes, making sure that people aren't being put out of their homes. I think it's necessary that they still be met with to very clearly explain the benefits to Manchester community and the residents, because I think that was what was missed. And furthermore, in the housing, of course, was going to be existing, which you've already mentioned, but the commercial aspect, once the commercial part is built, that's also another opportunity for jobs. The overall benefit to the whole community, not just Manchester, but the whole city, is something that you can't ignore. And I think that we vote on this tonight. If we don't table this, the community members who feel like they were slighted still have that opportunity to be met with and have very clear understanding about what is this benefit, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what has been said. I think some of them also, someone on purpose, kind of slanted things for them as well. And I see this as a huge positive for the Manchester community and Pittsburgh as a whole, and I think that it's something, I just see so many positives from this, that tabling it and delaying it isn't going to make it any difference. I think that we can push forward to have that community meeting, however our vote goes tonight.
Mr. Udine?
Thank you. I wanted to ask Mr. Barker, I know that you've been working with this plan for a long time and you know it in great detail. According to the TRID agreement that we are being asked to support tonight, in terms of housing, how many units of housing are expected to be built within the TRID district?
300 from what I understand, Mr. Udine.
Is that within the TRID district or is that in the Manchester community?
That's in the Esplanade project, in that phase 1 of the project.
That is in Chateau. So, and then there's 100 off-site affordable housing units being built, but don't know where this off-site location is.
How many contracts have been committed to minority or Manchester residents?
So I don't know if any contracts have been approved yet because but the planning is done. So I don't know if anybody's signing any contracts unless they know there's going to be a job to do. And the job guarantee doesn't come until after the TRID is approved. Ms. Yord?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Director Walker, I can jump in here. Director Udine, there are minority and women-owned business considerations that will be part of this TRID and any contracts that are issued, and businesses that are brought into the commercial spaces in the TRID. There are minority and women-owned business considerations with regard to that. So that will be part of consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Yord. Where is that being spelled out? The number of, the percentage of contracts, the number of contracts, the number of jobs, where is that, is that included in the TRID documentation?
I haven't seen, I don't believe so, but there is no percentage for the MWB contracts. With regard to the affordable housing numbers, those are in the presentations that have been previously provided to the board.
but there's not an agreement with the community that these contracts and jobs will be provided to local residents and Manchester residents and minorities. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Mr. Odin, I don't know if any developer is able to guarantee anything necessarily, but they can create targets that they're going to try to achieve.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Chair. They can make agreements to a certain percentage of minority participation, and they can be held accountable by the community to those agreements. If we are only going by the word of the developers, they'll never reach their goals of participating in this project in a meaningful way. I think that Mr. Barker knows this project thoroughly. He represents this district, and I think we would be wise to follow him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barker, I will give you the last word before we...
None.
Oh, or did Ms. Talaferro not go yet? Oh, well, then we'll let Ms. Talaferro go, and then I'll let you have the last word, Mr.
Thank you, Director Walker. So I just wanted to ask a quick question. In your earlier comments, you mentioned that that we didn't get info, or there was info that we didn't have or we don't have to make this decision. And I was curious to know, what info do you think that we don't have or still need in order to be able to support this TRID or not tonight?
Well, I know that the Manchester neighbors were requesting minutes from the meetings, and they wanted to see exactly how the votes were taken for the community to have been the ones that said this is a go and that they fully supported the actual TRID. They never received these documentations. So that's something that I would have loved to see them actually to receive. And anytime there's opportunities for, a certain group of people to be proven wrong in these situations, they should be proven wrong. And I don't think that it's technically taking place. I don't get into the weeds of it based on the fact that both of these organizations and whoever's affiliated with them, I have respect for all. So I'm not against anyone. And I'm certainly not against the TRID actually happening. It is going to bring a lot of tax revenue to our city, so on and so forth. However, you all are ready to rush a process, and y'all don't have, in my opinion, merit. You're saying that we got this long commitment on the years, right? But you're not willing to do another 30 days, as if we must vote now, as if people are actually calling you all or emailing you all or however they're getting in contact with you all and telling you that it needs to be done now. Now, one of the things that I do know is that the developer has already said publicly that they are able, once it is voted on, that they're able to break ground in June or July. So there is a bit of a rush, in my opinion, because you do have an optimistic deadline. And may I say, if they're saying that they can break ground, then there has to be some type of, to Director Udin's question, there has to be some type of agreements that are going to be met whenever it comes to minority contracts and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you for that. So I'm just going to say this, and I understand where you're coming from. My concern, what I'm not hearing is what, we as a board need. I don't need to know if they got meeting minutes to make a decision. I don't need to know. So I think there are certain information that we as a board are privy to that helps us to be able to make this decision at the board table. And I understand, where you're coming from and what you're saying, and I understand that, perhaps you have, been talking and meeting with this group and they've kind of had, their, maybe projecting, what they feel that they are not getting onto you, maybe not. Whatever the case might be, I think also we have the opportunity to touch back on the people who are a part of this process, whether it be the development company, whether it be other elected officials and elected leaders and community leaders that are a part of this process. We have the ability, well, at least for me, I've worked really hard in the, 5 years that I've been on this board to be able to establish relationships with people where I could pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, I have a concern, I have an issue, can you walk me through, where these things are at so that I can go back and make an informed decision. That's what I have done. I think that that's really important. The two things that I talked about to everyone that I touched base with, including city council members who traditionally don't support LRDAs and TRIDs and things like that, but understood the value of this particular project and the, the benefits that will come to that community in that region beyond, certain aspects. So just even talking to those people, the two things that I brought up, one is, I personally won't and don't want to be a part of destroying a community, especially a Black community. And while maybe there are some great and good things that came from that East Liberty project, I knew what East Liberty looked like prior to that and don't look familiar to me, and sometimes doesn't even feel like I have a place there. And so one of the things that I was really vocal about is I will not be a part of destroying opportunity for Black people and for people to be pushed out or to lose their homes. That is reality. I don't ever want to sit at this table and vote for something that is the case. In good faith, though, there are things that happen sometimes beyond our knowledge and maybe even out of our control. I don't know if tabling this is going to be the answer to that. And the reason why I asked earlier, what do you hope, or what is the value or the benefit of tabling this, is because what it sounds like to me is that we're just tabling it because this group, this 300 people signed a petition and said they don't, they want us, or whatever they want us to do, and they've been coming to our meetings, but what would be the plan? What would we do in that 30 days? Are you going to pick up the phone in that 30 days and demand for them to get a meeting, or what happened? I told you that there's already a meeting scheduled before we even having this conversation for May 12th. I believe that will happen because I believe that there are people who want to make sure that everybody's voices are heard, but not necessarily in a sense that it's just this group of people. So if they want a private meeting just all for themselves, but yet they're having community meetings where all people are welcome to attend, and then some of these people have attended those meetings, then I'm trying to understand then when you're saying that you're not getting something that you're getting. But I don't want to go back and forth about what community says versus what other people say. My concern is always going to be how this will benefit Pittsburgh Public Schools and the children in Pittsburgh Public Schools. And outside of the financial aspect of it, one of the questions that I asked is how do we support the schools in Manchester? Right now we have Conroy in Manchester. I know things might look differently or could look differently over the years if any of the plans that we've talked about happen, but Manchester will still be there as a middle school. And so how will that help? One of the first things I said was, well, let's look at career exploration opportunities. Let's look at, so there are things that we can benefit from, and this district can benefit from, the families can benefit from. The second thing that I talked about was, if people are going to be pushed out, it's a no for me. But understanding that there's affordable housing in place that has been, made so that there's more affordable housing units than most developers and development companies want to do in this city. that there are existing, credits and, you mentioned the tax freeze, Director Walker. There's different things set up for existing homeowners. So there are a lot of actual benefits that could bring that region of the city to life. And I think that is the bigger picture that I'm looking at here. And so I just want to be very clear that, when we're at this table, we're making decisions, sometimes we get the pressure from people. I've felt that many, many times. And I always have to take what community says, what information that I know, the conversations that I have, whether it be with other Manchester residents or other or people involved, or the other people involved outside of that. But I have to take all of those things, and then I have to make a decision. But I really don't understand how 30 days of holding it with no plan of what will happen in that 30 days will look like. If you had came to this table and said, I want to table it for 30 days, and here's what I'm thinking can happen in that 30 days, and I might have been like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I'm not seeing that, and that's making it really hard for me to support that particular motion. So I just want to make that clear. And now I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah, Director Silk, then Director Wilson, then we'll finish, and then we'll get to the vote. So we'll stop comments after Director Barker finishes.
Thank you. I am glad that we're hashing this out and that we are having this conversation. I am also glad that historically we have had these kinds of conversations earlier overall, which has not been the practice of previous boards. And so I think that is a direct reflection of the work that we've been doing together as a board and the training that we've been doing. I wanted to address the kind of the idea that this is a rushed vote, because I don't agree with that description. As Director Yord talked about, this has been on our agenda for quite some time, and we added a special meeting where the developers came and we all had the opportunity as directors to submit questions in advance. Only a handful of us did. And so that's part of our homework, and it could be that folks read everything and didn't have those questions, and that's completely fine. And that was our real opportunity to have that direct engagement. And at the end of the day, I do think that this development is different than a lot of like East Liberty, in that we are not, we will not see the removal of current housing and push out in that way. This is property that is not in use, so that feels really different. And regardless of how the vote goes tonight, I do think it is still possibly strategic for the developer to meet with this particular group, even though I do agree that I don't know how reasonable it is for every group to get that kind of face time in the particular way that they want to, and I'm glad to hear that there's a community meeting coming up as well. That's all for me.
I actually was only going to call for the question.
Excellent. Mr. Barker, any last words before we?
Well, thank you all for being so honest about how you all feel. I promise you, once this is all said and done, I will still love and value you all, because you all are amazing people. I don't want anyone in here to think that I was out to offend you. It's just that I do have a degree in passion. What I will say is this: I am smart enough, brave enough, wise enough to juggle between. I met with everybody. I got all their sides of their stories. I got all their, their intel. But what I want to say is this. This right here lets me know that the community was speaking as well about them doing these petitions. Not everyone, so the 300 plus that have put their signatures on here, or Manchester's, a part of the Manchester Neighbors Group. So I say that because Manchester Neighbors went out and knocked on doors. And this is the end result that they got. So if people believe that they had a hidden agenda or they, wanted to do something to derail or delay or sabotage the project, I don't think they would have signed it. Do I know this for a fact? I don't, but, I truly believe that they wouldn't have signed it. Furthermore, again, the actual Manchester Neighbors RCO group does not want this not to happen. They do want this to happen. They just feel like there are people in their neighborhood that feel like the process wasn't the proper process. And I think that that's a legitimate argument, especially if you start to get signatures on paper that is indicating just that. It's unfortunate that you all don't see that and take a hold of the fact that they did go out. They did take time out of their day. And then folk come up in here at our last hearing, speak their truth, talk about jobs, this, that, and the third, and all the work that Manchester Neighbors have done in collaboration with the voices down there that are on this petition that have not felt like the process has worked in their favor by them receiving the proper information, I think it's technically falling on deaf ears. And again, that's just my opinion. I appreciate your honesty, and I'm done.
All right, thank you all. So we have a motion and a second to consider tabling item 12.02. Mr. Weiss, will you please call the vote for tabling 12.02?
Parker, I would just suggest, and I would ask Mr. Barker, if he would be agreeable to having the table of the next board legislative meeting. Technically, 30 days will be after that. So this board meets, every fourth Wednesday. So I would suggest, however this goes, that the motion read to be tabled until the next legislative meeting. That way you will have to wait till June. Just a suggestion. It's up to Mr. Barker.
Do you understand what he's asking? He's asking, would you consider amending your motion to only table the item until the next legislative session, not for a full 30 days?
Yes, oh, absolutely, yes, my apologies, yes.
No, that's fine. No apology really needed. I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
So this is a motion to table this item until the next legislative meeting, which should be the voting meeting in May. I'm going to call the roll. Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Silk?
No.
Ms. Talaferro?
No.
What was the vote? I'm sorry, no?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dean?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
No.
Ms. Jord?
No.
Mr. Walker?
No.
Okay, the motion fails. So it is back on the agenda and back part of the business agenda.
Thank you, everyone. So we are back to the committee report on education. I need a motion and a second to approve, to have a roll call vote on the committee report on business and finance.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Talaferro and Ms. Silk. Mr. Weiss, will you please call the vote?
Parker?
No, yes to the report in the whole, no to 12.02.
Ms. Silk?
Yes.
Ms. Talaferro?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Abstain.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Jord?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, the motion's approved. Overall motion's approved 6 yes and 1 abstention. 1202 is approved. 5 yes, 1 abstention, and 1 no.
Thank you all. We will now move on to the Human Resources Report that includes items 13.01 through 14.12, including addendums A, B, C, and D, submitted by Ms. Sylvia Wilson, Chairperson in the committee. Are there any questions or comments on this report? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second for a roll call vote on the Human Resources Report?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson and Mr. Barker. Mr. Weiss, can you please call the vote?
Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Silk,
Yes.
Delaferro,
Yes.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Eward,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Report's approved unanimously.
Thank you. I'd like to call the board's attention to 16.01, the financial statements, and 16.02, the controller's report for the month ending February 28th, 2024, and March 31, 2025. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 16.03, which is the EBE report. Are there any questions or comments on this report? All right, now we will move to item 17.01, which is a new business item. And this is the PA Mental Health Education Learning Program. And is there someone that can remind us what this is before we vote on it? Well, this is a $10,000 grant? Okay, maybe we don't need an explanation.
This item was approved and administratively did not make it back onto the agenda simply by the agenda review. It was just added as new business just to get it on this agenda. And there's a duplicate item that's almost exactly identical for another intern. We just didn't want to delay payment.
Thank you for that explanation. Are there any questions or comments on 17.01? All right, seeing none, I would like a motion and a second to vote on 17.01.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Talaferro and Ms. Silk. Mr. Weiss, can you please call the vote?
Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Silk,
Yes.
Delaferro,
Yes.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Eward,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Items approved unanimously.
Thank you. That concludes the business portion of our meeting. Are there any board members that have announcements that they would like to share that do not require a legislative vote? Mr. Barker.
Next month, well, let me first start off by saying the proclamation for Take a Father to School Day, the 27th annual Take a Father to School Day was last Tuesday down at the City County Building. So thank you all, whoever came out. Thank you all, whoever is the ones to get it together. So shout out to Erica Gandy, as well as everyone, Mercedes Williams, and everyone that has an opportunity to support the Take a Father to School Day committee. The Take a Father to School Day will be next month, May. So yeah. Tomorrow's May, right? 16th, so it's always the third Friday of the month. So really excited and looking forward to that day. So yes, thank you.
Ms. Silk?
I just wanted to thank everyone who came to all of the listening sessions that the board has been holding. So thank you to, first of all, my board colleagues and to all of the staff at PPS, and most importantly, to all of our community members who've come out. The next and final session is at Perry on May 6th at 6 p.m.
Thank you all. Dr. Walters?
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I just wanted the public to know that we are aware that we have several of our schools back online, and we're watching closely, and so we will probably be communicating a little bit later about the status of school. We've not forgotten about you. We're simply working very closely with Duquesne Light to assess the situation because we do want to have school tomorrow. There are many events planned. We're in the middle of our testing season. Tomorrow is senior signing day and a variety of activities. And so we're assessing the situation closely, and we will communicate with our families as soon as possible.
Thank you all. All right, if there is no other announcements, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Talaferro and Mr. Barker. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody want to stay? Never do. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your work this month. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.